Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to the Other Israel Film Festival. My name is Isaac Zablocki. I'm Director of Film Programs at the Marlene Meyerson JCC Manhattan and Director of the Other Israel Film Festival. We are so excited to host this afternoon's conversation. And let me just tell you a little bit more about what's coming up before we actually jump into it. Next at 4 p.m. we have what's called Shorts 2 Encounters. And then at 6 p.m. we have the conversation for Till Kingdom Come. Again, these films are available all week and we're hosting conversations at specific times. Tomorrow at noon, there's a play reading, Asher's Command, and 2 p.m. Golda and the Prophets conversation, 4 p.m. Kings of Capitol Hill, and 6 p.m. we have a shorts conversation in Hebrew for Israelis in New York from that perspective, giving a new angle on it all. Of course, films going on all week and more conversations every day till our closing on Thursday. For this session right now, this session's we call the Sam Spiegel Film School shorts, and we were grouping shorts in different ways, and it was really interesting and a lot of fun to kind of find the right way for them to group. And it's actually, this past year was the 30th anniversary of the Sam Spiegel School, and this kind of came as a nice way to highlight that and to highlight what is considered by many Israel's leading film school, with credit to all the other ones too, but and of course, we're seeing films from many of these film schools and graduates from many of these film schools, which are extremely prominent in Israeli society. But Sam Spiegel is definitely having its impact, and we're excited to give it that little focus. I want to thank our partners in general for everyone who's partnered on the festival. Especially a big shout out to the New Israel Fund, but for this one specifically also the partnership from the Interagency Task Force for Arab-Israeli Issues. I'm very excited. I hope you guys have seen the films and enjoyed the films as much as we did. And I'm excited to have here the two directors of these films. We have Omer Sterenberg. Omer, thank you for being here. Omer, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, I'm Omer. I'm a student at Sam Spiegel. It's my 5th year. I live in Jerusalem, and Listening In is my first film.
Listening In, for those who missed it. And we have Shadi Habib Allah. Shadi, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes, hello everybody. I'm Shadi Habib Allah from Ain Mahal near Nazareth. I graduated from Sam Spiegel 1 year ago, and Soft Grass was my graduation movie, and Swing, it was my 3rd year movie, and I'm doing like in parallel also architectural works. I'm an architect as well as I'm a filmmaker, and I hope you will enjoy this conversation.
Thank you both, and folks, please be a part. You're welcome to turn your cameras on. If you have any questions, please place them in the chat. And then we will call on you when the timing is right to ask your question live. So thank you for being a part of this. I want to start with a question to both of you, which is tell us about why you made your films and how these stories came about. Shadi, let's start with you.
Well, I will start with Swing. Swing, it was the first experience to write fiction movie, short fiction movie, and I decided to make it with kids. As I think as a student, sometimes you want to close some circles with your childhood, with some memories, with some images that stuck in your mind, And I think Swing is an example of this movie, example of this situation, because the story of Russia, something that I watched when I was a kid, and I saw this case when she was like swinging, and people and just the kids, they use the action for another goals. This is for Swing, and for Soft Grass, it was I was in a nice tour in the old city of Jerusalem with the Iranian filmmaker Mohsen Makhmalbaf. I guess 3 years ago, and when we were in the old city, at the morning, the night before, there was like a suicide attack at the old city of Jerusalem, and it was locked totally. And at the Mohsen told me that I want to see the city when it's closed at morning. And when we was going around, we met like a man that he just came back from prayer at the mosque, and he didn't know how to make his way to his home because there was a lot of checkpoints at the old city, and he told us, I don't know how to get home. And Mohsen told me it can be like a short movie, and that's how it started. And in the other part, there is a phenomenon in the West Bank that Palestinians they have gazelles in their houses, and it's like became like a pet. And for me, it was like something really weird, and I wanted to make like this combination between the two stories, and that was the start, the start point of this movie.
Nice, and we'll jump more into that. Omer, share with us a little bit what inspired you to make your film.
So my idea started when I came across a letter written by a few Israeli soldiers who refused. They were intelligence soldiers, and they refused to keep doing their service because of crimes against the Palestinians. And they talked, and in one letter, in this in one sentence in this letter, they talked about the gay Palestinians, and it's really like. I find myself, because I'm an Israeli and I'm gay, and these two identities conflicting. It really, I really thought it was an interesting conflict, because it's an inner conflict and a real conflict for real people. And I talked about it with a gay Palestinian friend of mine. And he told me that it's a known thing. It's like a part of being a gay Palestinian is to know that you might be tracked or might be listened to, like people can follow you or want to recruit you for certain jobs and things like that. And in this evening, in this meeting with this friend of mine, I decided I want to make this short film. Just because it was like a good conflict to use in a film and in a story.
Fantastic. Both films, all three films, excuse me, I thought were really phenomenal, and hard to imagine that they're considered student films, because of course the production qualities were amazing, and just really great stories. And I'm often saying that some of the best films out of Israel really are these short films. Let's dive in a little deeper into each film, which there's so much to discuss on for all of them. Omer, I'm going to start with you as far as listening in, and and the first of all, the reactions to it. That's something that that I would love to know. Listening in, kind of first, I would imagine, I don't know if you had to ask for permission from the military to show this, or what kind of military involvement there needed to be there in order to tell a story from within. But also I'm interested in kind of reactions to it when it would screen in Israel.
Well, we didn't need any military permission. It's a school project, so it was really inside of school and as part of a class. So it really went under the radar in this way, and you know, we filmed it in our school shelter, so everything is like is ours. We have the uniform, we have the things, so we didn't need any involvement from the military. Short films doesn't have a lot of audience in Israel, so I didn't get a lot of comments. And when people do come and see it, it's mainly people who are similar to each other, and to people who study film. So it got some good reactions, and I really noticed that other different people find different things to decided to see different things in this film. Some are more attracted to the sexual identity, some is more to the military technicals and things like that. And I think what the reaction I got the most is just that it does a lot of emotion with a little of material. Like, you see this character's face, and you hear some voices, and the whole story just tells itself. And I think this is the main comment or reaction I got from audience.
And I feel like you make, you know, I guess we'll spoil a little bit, but the ending, I think, makes a very strong statement as far as the choices that possibly this soldier is making. What would you say is he choosing there by disclosing them?
I think what I thought when I wrote this story, that eventually people don't really have a choice. They think they have a choice, but they were so part of the narrative we grew in, and our whole thoughts and words and the way we act and talk and speak, and the content we get from the media or whatever. We don't really have a choice, and I think that's the statement I was trying to make, that we are, first of all, our nationality, because this is what the nation wants us to be, and we're stuck in this identity even if we don't want it.
Interesting. I saw him, in my perspective, completely as you know, choosing to follow kind of with the line that's there, and not break with the line, and that could say something about his sexual identity too, possibly, which is interesting. I'll ask you one more question, then I'll move over to Shadi. But of course, voyeurism plays a part here, and is a long discussed cinematic tool. I mean, cinema itself is a voyeuristic medium, and in a way, his listening in, which is the name here, he also goes through a voyeuristic experience. Was that an aware play on cinema?
Yeah, it wasn't aware. I think the main thing for me was separating in some way the visual and the visual voyeurism and the audio voyeurism. And I think we react differently to things we see and to things we hear. Same as I can take it to a lot of different thoughts I have about it. Like, which is the most, which is the real narrative, the one we see or the one we hear, and which is more truth. And yeah, I think there's like this chain reaction of he's listening in to the people, and the audience is looking at him, but and needs to put himself inside this conflict and to choose like choose side, or I guess yeah, I don't have a lot to add on this.
No, there's a lot to play with there, just because we're listening in. He hears their intimacy. We're seeing him in his intimate moments, and I think it's I think they all play together so nicely. And using using cinema really to its fullest, as far as it having both audio and video, and each place having its own part, I think plays out very nicely. Shadi, let me dive in deeper to both of your films. Let's start with Swing. So here you're tackling a topic that's actually a huge topic of honor killings, and this is of course something that's very, very sad and profound, that exists in Arab society. Tell us a little bit more about where that came from.
Well, I think especially not only in the Arab world, even in the whole world, I guess, but especially here in Israel, because of the really complicated situation, the political situation, and also the social situation that is so complicated, we can see that killing like into large numbers, which became out of control, and I think as a Palestinian filmmaker, and as one that decided to tell the Palestinian narrative in my movies, I think it was very important to tell about also about the social issues, not only the political issues, because it's a major part of any society. But I know that there is too many a lot of movies about honor killing, but I decided to make this movie through the kids' perspective, like how the victims of how the kids of the victim look at the reality, and how the people around, how they deal with them. I think it was my first. It was also like my first movie that combined between the storytelling and also the going through a really very sensitive issue, and also with kids, how you can really deal with the imagination, how you can. I imagined like a circle that starts with the mother, and then it translated to the kids, and these kids will grow up at future, and they will all this they will bring with them a new maybe new hope for dealing with this issue, because I think it's very important to start from the inside and then going to the outside. Well, the thing that the children, the kids themselves, at first I told them the story, and then I met the parents, and I shared with them the script, and I was surprised that the kids there, they have their statement about this issue, and they was very moved, and they helped me a lot by bringing their emotions into this movie. So I think it was really very challenging to tell a story about honor killing, but in through different perspective, through the kids' perspective.
Yeah, I think that hasn't been done before from what I've seen. Was there any criticism from within the Arab community of airing your dirty laundry, one might say?
Like around, you mean?
Yeah, or reactions to it, possibly people who think that you should not be telling the story about.
No, I think the opposite. Every time I screen the movie here, it's really succeed to talk to the people hearts, and I think it's. But to be honest with you, like now, if I want to make this movie again, I will make it a little bit different. But I think it's part of the process of being a student and making movies. It was my first movie also, and dealing with kids, and because also the movie going in between reality and fantasy, and the voice over all these techniques. It was really a good experience for me that helped me a lot in Softgrass to have this to go with this language one level up.
So let's jump into Softgrass a little bit, and it's interesting. Yes, I think that there is a little bit of a jump in the language there, in the cinematic language for Softgrass, and it's another very, very interesting story. And the production also, I think you challenged yourself a little bit more, and I'd love to hear a little bit about why you wanted to tell this story at this time.
Well, the movie is about freedom, and I think freedom is at this time especially a thing that is stolen from Palestinians. Not only Palestinians, even in the whole world. And I use this metaphor of the gazelle that is locked into courtyard, that it's not the natural environment for gazelle. Gazelle is related to the nature, related to the open world, related to the related to the freedom of movement. And especially this issue, the freedom of movement, the thing that really stopped me at the old city of Jerusalem 3 years ago, while this man that was going to pray at 5 a.m. At the mosque, and he don't know how to get home because of the checkpoints. So for me, it was like weird, like how someone don't have the chance to get home. Like he is like few meters far away from his home, I use also this metaphor of the wall that is in the West Bank. But in different terms, like there's too many walls in Jerusalem, the alleys and the courtyards and the architecture of the old city of Jerusalem, and using the gazelle in this context give me the challenge to tell something more more big about the Palestinian issue, especially that it takes place in Jerusalem. And Hussein, as a main character, it's a very like normal story about like a normal family that lives in Jerusalem, and at the day of the father funeral, even the right of being how we can say burned, right?
Right.
לקבור, נכון?
לקבול.
לקבור, עומר, לקבור, מה זה לקבור באנגלית?
Oh, to bury.
To bury, כן.
Bury, yes.
Yeah. Sorry, English is my third language, so I'm doing my best.
Good well.
Yeah. And the right of like for burying the father, this is the basic right for someone that died, and even this situation cannot be completed because of the checkpoints at the old city of Jerusalem and the lockdown, of course.
I think it's very profound. We have a couple of questions from the audience. Of course, folks, if you have questions, put them in the chat and we'll call on you. One person who doesn't want to be called on, but asked, Ron asked, why the title Soft Grass?
Well, it's very, I can say that it's something so related to the character of Hussein. The soft grass is usually it's a symbol of the new beginnings. Like after the first rain, we can have the soft grass, and this is the image that I imagine that I saw in Hussein at the end of the movie when I wrote the script, and I wanted to say something about Hussein, like he's like the soft grass, like it's like a new he began a new circle in his life, like the soft grass, and also it's related to the normal atmosphere of the gazelle, like that is related to the nature, to the normal place where the gazelle should be, not in courtyard, but maybe something from the nature. I know it's very complicated, but it's very personal.
So it was one of the questions that somebody asked too, but I'm going to actually turn it into another question, as you just mentioned, the gazelle. So the gazelle was CGI, which is something that you don't see much I've actually never seen it before in Sam Spiegel students' schools. And why did you choose to do that?
Well, it's not only CGI; it's a combination between real gazelle and CGI. I can make a movie about searching gazelle for the movie. It was really complicated, and at the end we found, and I was very specific. It's Palestinian gazelle. It's something very specific for this origin, and it's something interesting. If you go to the zoo here in Israel, you can see like that when they want to tell about the gazelle, it's written in Hebrew, Tzvi Israeli, Israeli gazelle, and in Arabic it's written Palestinian gazelle. It was for me, it's very specific. And because of the complicity of like making the moves of the gazelle in the alleys, and we wasn't allowed to bring gazelle to the old city of Jerusalem. So I decided to make the combination between CGI and real gazelle, just to complete the full mise en scène of the gazelle, because in some parts we cannot like make it I don't know, run in the alleys or something like that.
Well done. I think it added another visual element to it. For those.
Yeah, and it was very challenging, really, because it's also it's cost a lot of money, this technology, and too many donations came from the USA and from the Friends Forever International. That's helped me on with some donation to make the CGI, and we decided to make it with not like a very professional way, but for student I think it was a really good experience, and I will have I will make it again with no doubt.
Good. Omer, I wanted to ask you before we take another question from the audience. What were the reactions in the school to making your film? And I also wanted to know about the casting of your film a little bit.
Reactions at school were good. It's always a complicated process to hear criticism and to decide during the work on the film, I mean, and to decide what you take and what you leave. And after when the film was finished, I think the reaction was good. It's a third year film, so it has its own issues and problems, and it's like how to tell. It's the first work, so it's always not as good as it can be when as a final project. I guess it's a smaller project. So, but reactions was good. The casting, we really wanted to find someone whose face tells a story. I talked a lot with the casting director about like a geography of a face. Like you can zoom in on a face or get closer to a face and really see like a geography. And as geography tells things about the land, I wanted a face that can tell about a person. And we had a few directions. Some more masculine actors and some more feminine. And Eitan Gimelman, we met him. I saw him in a documentary. He played like a fiction role in a documentary, and it was just it. I mean, the moment I saw him, I could see the whole story on his face, and the innocence and the conflict and the way he uses his eyes. It was just it meant to be, I guess. we had a really good connection between us, and I really wanted to work with him again in my final project. It didn't happen for artistic reasons, but maybe in some next films.
Cool. We have a question from a member of the audience. I'm going to open the mic for Dina. Dina, you're on the line.
Hi. First of all, thank you. The films were absolutely beautiful and interesting and intense and so well done. I actually first wanted to ask Shadi, I thought that there's a dream-like aspect and actually in both of the films, and one a little bit more obvious in The Swing, a little bit more just like in the palette, and there is sort of that dream-like feeling. in a way. And I just wonder if you could talk more about the place of that kind of fantasy or dreamy-like quality. And I was wondering if maybe it sort of, does it free you as a storyteller to tell your story in some other way? So I'm just wondering if you could talk about that. And actually afterwards, I have a question for Omer, if I'm allowed, if there's no other question.
Sure.
Thank you, Dina. It's a nice question. I think it's give me the option to let the story to be understood in different ways for different audiences. For example, that was really interesting, and when I wrote the script of South the Grass, I wanted that some of the people told me that we felt that okay, that there was like a real gazelle in the old city of Jerusalem, and some people told me that we felt that it's only in his mind, like in Hussein's mind, it doesn't exist. And this is a small example, like for using this language to give more colors to the movies, and to give the different meanings that can be understood for this movie. And also, I'm in my career also, I used to write poems, and also the architectural part on me. It's also like how the commonplace between architecture and filmmaking is that you create an experience. In architecture, you create experience for the one who visits the building, and you decide for what kind of experience you go through. And it's also the same thing in filmmaking. And the place of fantasy or dreaminess is just to give this experience another layers, not only one layer that can be understood in one way.
And Dina, you had a question for Omer.
Mute myself. Hi. Yeah, thank you, Shadi. Hi, Omer. It was a pretty powerful movie, but I wanted to push you a little bit more to talk more about this concept of choice that you talked about, the choice that, what's his name, the Chayal, what's his name?
It doesn't have a name.
Oh, it doesn't have a name. The Chayal, so the soldier. What is his, when he makes his choice at the end, that's a very intense, that could be seen as a very intense choice. I'm just wondering, you said he doesn't really have a choice. Of course, one always does have a choice. It could be a radical choice. And actually in some of the other movies I've seen in the film festival now, there are some people who make some radical choices actually. So maybe it's outside the realm of his understanding. He could have betrayed his nation. He could have gone to jail. He could have, I mean, there are actual choices, even if they're extreme or radical, and maybe you see him as sort of an average person dealing with the difficult choice. I just wonder if you could talk about that a little more, because you did portray a certain range of choice and you chose that.
Yeah, for sure. I think, of course, we have a choice, but I think I didn't want to make a film with a good ending, so to say. Like, it could be this film about this really rebellious guy who really thinks he can change the world, and doing his own little actions in order to do it. But I wanted to portray a more realistic image of being, I think, eventually of being gay and Israeli, and having these two identities conflict each other. And in this, what I was trying to say is in a larger perspective, the nation always wins. It always wins the individual and the freedom, and I don't want to say always, because I would like to be optimistic, but I wanted to show reality as I see it, in real, as I see it, and my experience as an Israeli who served the army and thought I could be like this liberal soldier, and like the things as I see can't go together. You can't like do these things to a Palestinian gay and say, yeah, but I'm an Israeli gay at the same time. You have to choose eventually, and I think most of the people around me in Israel making the choice that the soldier did make at the end of the film. So this is what I meant when I say we don't really have a choice. Of course we have a choice, but but we are stuck in our own minds and in our own realities. So I wanted to address it. Yes.
I wanted to jump into one more topic before we had to finish up, but I had mentioned earlier that this is that we just had the 30th anniversary of the Sam Spiegel School, and I'm interested to know where in your films do you feel that the education that going through the Sam Spiegel School's film school's approach to cinema, where is that reflected? What's special about Sam Spiegel that you could feel has had an impact on the films that you've made? Who wants to take this one on first? Shadi, you want to go?
Yeah, sure. Well, I need to say that I was so lucky, really, to be a student at Sam Spiegel. And to be honest with you, when I decided to go after finishing the 4 year specialization in the architectural career, and I wanted to start studying filmmaking, I didn't know where. I heard about Tel Aviv, Betzalel, and I heard about Sam Spiegel, but I really didn't know what is the real value about this place. And I think the special thing about Sam Spiegel is there's intimacy, and there's high
Intimacy?
in the process of studying, because we are a small group between 15 to 20 students each year. This will give you the chance to be open more, because they were separated into two groups, small groups, 10 persons and 10 persons. This gives you the chance to be more close to your teachers, and because that the Sam Spiegel, they have this issue that it's like the production thing, the story, that you need to have the story. You need to tell your story. No one in Sam Spiegel told me one day, don't do that or don't try that. The opposite. They give me the full support to tell my story, my stories, and to bring to bring my language, and to give me the tools to make it more professional. But I think it's really a hard process, but because of the small groups, I think it was it's worth it. And also the equipments that the school gives, in terms of cameras, lighting, you can see that really you have great options that helps you to make better movie. And the thing that in each movie you go into the process, and I think the process is much more important than the result at the end or the film. The process is very important, and I think in terms of process, Sam Spiegel was great on that. I think, but the thing that I didn't experience at Sam Spiegel, and I hope that things will be changed at the next years, that we didn't have any chance to watch Palestinian movies or to hear about Palestinian filmmakers. We had courses about Iranian Iranian cinema, but not Palestinian cinema. That was really strange. But I think that now I hope that some things will be transformed into more to bring more from the Palestinian scene, because it's very important for Israeli school to bring this perspective also.
Are there a lot of, are there other Palestinian students? Do Palestinian students have access to the school?
Well, when I was student, I remember I was the only one. Maybe there was another one like that was graduated when I was at first year. And I know that now there is maybe two. I don't know, right, Omer? There is two now. It was really strange that it's not very well known in the Palestinian society. The Sam Spiegel name is not well known. I don't know why, but I do recommend always like to go to this school.
Omer, I'd love to hear your perspective.
For me, I think the main influence is really the other students, and the fact that it's two things. We work together as our students of 1 year work together on each other's films. So you really need to convince people to be part of your film, and convince them not only by convincing, but by making them part of the idea and the vision of the film. And it's also the other students, but it's also the crew itself, so the teachers. We have a really strict process of convincing the school you should do your film, and telling them your story, and making sure you know what your story is about and what your film is about. And I think it really helps to focus on what's important in filmmaking. And I think this is the main influence of the school in my film, is to be focused and know what my film is about and what my story is about, and how I relate to it and what I have to say. That's it.
Thank you. I want to thank you both. I want to thank our audience for being a part. We're going to take a moment for our audience to get to know each other and to continue the conversation. And Shadi and Omer, I ask you to be a part of it. We're going to break into breakout sessions and take literally 5 minutes to just discuss what you found impactful in any of the films, what moments stayed with you, and why, and to get to know your neighbors a little bit. Please don't speak for more than a minute, because you'll use up all the time and we don't want to cannibalize the time. And I'll just remind you that coming up, we have yet one more group of short films at 4 p.m. And then at 6 p.m., the conversation for Till Kingdom Come. So please join us for that. And of course, much, much more tomorrow. Please enjoy your breakout sessions. We'll see you all in 5 minutes. Okay, folks, thank you for joining us again. I want to give a big thank you to Shadi and Omer. Thank you so much for your amazing films. What are you guys working on next?
Shadi? I'm working on my final project right now. So I'm still a student, so I have to make my my final film. And then we'll see where life takes us.
You know your final film is on?
Yeah, we already shoot it, so we're editing right now. It's in the same worlds of listening in, but a bit different. I won't spoil it, so we'll see in a few festivals from.
We look forward to seeing it. Shadi?
Well, I'm writing a feature now, writing my feature movie. And it's also a combination of animals and human being, and a story about this place. But I pushed the limits a little bit, and the story takes place between Palestine and Turkey. So this is the next project. I think the script will be completed the next year. Then I will start looking for production companies to start the real process.
We look forward to seeing that as well. Again, thank you all, and we look forward to seeing you at the upcoming events here at Other Israel. Have a Shabbat Shalom, and see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.